Picture two people, the exact same age, starting their careers the very same week. Same paycheck, same town, same bills. For years, they look completely identical on paper, both earning the same solid, comfortable income. But fast forward 30 years, both are now retired. Yet one never has to think about money again, while the other is still watching every dollar. Same age, same income, the entire time. So what actually split them apart? Most people assume the answer is obvious: get a bigger salary, a bigger paycheck. But that belief is the trap. The rich almost never get rich from a bigger salary. They get rich by owning the right things, assets that pay them whether they show up to work or not. So here are 13 assets quietly making ordinary people wealthy, and for each one, something you could actually start doing. Quick ground rule first: an asset puts money into your pocket, a liability takes money out. The whole game is owning more of the first kind. And yes, that includes the designer outfit you are eyeing for Friday's date. Is it an investment? It doesn't sound like it. So remember, keep your lifestyle moderate, and you will have more money left over to put into real assets. Quick gut check before we start. Asset or liability? Your brand new car? Liability. A rental property? Asset. The rich just feel this difference automatically. Now, let's count. Number 1, real estate. Still one of the most dependable wealth builders on earth. Own a property, rent it out, and money lands in your account every month for very little ongoing work. On top of that, well-placed property tends to climb in value year after year because people will always need somewhere to live. And there is a multiplier most people miss. You can buy with mostly borrowed money. So when the price rises, you keep the gain on the whole property, not just your small down payment. What you could actually do: house hack. Buy a small duplex, live in one half and rent the other, or just rent out a spare room and let a tenant help pay your mortgage. By the way, if this is useful, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Number 2, stocks. A share of stock is simply a slice of ownership in a real company. Own shares in a business, and you own a piece of its profits, paid out as dividends or compounding quietly as the share price grows. And the barrier has never been lower. For the price of a coffee and a few taps on your phone, you can own a piece of the biggest companies on earth. The real engine is compounding. Reinvest your gains, and your returns start earning returns of their own, which is how small, steady investing becomes a fortune over decades. What you could actually do: open a brokerage account and set up an automatic buy, even $100 every month, so you are investing without having to think about it. And here is why automatic wins. Motivation fades every time, but an automatic transfer never gets tired, never gets busy, never talks you out of it. Set it up once, and your future self gets richer on autopilot. Number 3, index and mutual funds. If a single stock is one company, a fund is the entire basket at once. Buy one index fund, and you instantly own hundreds of companies. That spread is exactly what makes it so much safer than betting on a single name. Over the long run, the S&P 500 has returned around 10% a year on average. You do not have to pick the winners. You just quietly own all of them. What you could actually do: buy a low-cost S&P 500 index fund from Vanguard, Fidelity, or iShares and set it to auto-invest. It is the closest thing investing has to a default setting. Number 4, retirement accounts, the 401k and the IRA. Honestly, for most people, this is where building wealth should begin. These are special accounts where your investments grow with huge tax advantages, and many employers will even match what you put in. A match is free money, an instant return you cannot get anywhere else. And this is not just an American thing. Same idea, different names. In the UK, a workplace pension; in Australia, superannuation; in Canada, a retirement savings plan; in New Zealand, KiwiSaver; and in Ireland, a personal pension. What you could actually do: contribute at least enough to your workplace 401k to get the full employer match. Then ask your financial advisor how to minimize the tax on your investment growth and withdrawals by making after-tax contributions. How these are treated differs slightly between countries, so look at the details. Number 5, bonds and high-yield savings, the calm, boring corner of your money. And that is exactly the point. When you buy a bond, you are lending money to a government or a company. And they pay you steady interest in return. It will not make you rich overnight, but it protects you and pays you while you wait. What you could actually do: move your emergency fund out of a near-zero checking account and into a high-yield savings account at an online bank like Marcus, Ally, or SoFi. Or buy short-term treasury bills straight from the government at Treasury Direct. And let your safe money finally earn its keep. One step almost everyone skips. Before chasing any of these, park 3 to 6 months of expenses somewhere safe and boring. That cushion is what lets you ride out a crash instead of panic selling at the worst possible moment. Number 6, REITs, real estate investment trusts. Think of them as owning real estate without ever being a landlord. A REIT is a company that owns income-producing property, apartments, warehouses, shopping centers, and you buy shares of it like a stock. It collects the rent and by law passes most of it back to you as dividends. No tenants, no toilets, no midnight phone calls. What you could actually do, buy a REIT index fund such as Vanguard's in the very same brokerage account you already use for stocks and get real estate income with a single click. Now for the assets most people never think of. Stick around for number 9, the highest return asset of them all, and number 13, the one that can contain all the others. Number 7, raw materials and commodities, gold, silver, oil, the basic raw stuff the whole world runs on. The classic example is gold, a store of value people run to when everything else looks shaky. And over the long run, it has held its worth for thousands of years. What you could do is keep a small slice as insurance through a gold ETF like GLD, or cheaper options like iShares IAUM or Aberdeen's Physical Gold Fund. Check the expense ratio and never make it your whole plan. Number 8, turning your belongings into assets. The stuff you already own can quietly start earning its keep. It works for almost anything with a price tag. Your car can earn on Turo, your boat on BoatSetter or Get My Boat, your camper van on Outdoorsy or RV Share. And the best one of all, your own home, listed on Airbnb, Vrbo, or Booking.com while you are away on holiday, and the house quietly pays for the trip. The things you already pay for, finally paying you back. Add it up, and that is real money every single month. Number 9, and the highest return asset of all for most people, investing in yourself. Your skills, your knowledge, and your reputation, an asset no market crash can take away. A single valuable skill can raise your income for the rest of your life. And unlike a stock, it compounds with everything else you learn. What you could actually do, learn one high-income skill this year, a trade certification, coding, or sales. It often costs no more than a few books or one online course. Then, watch what it does to your paycheck. Number 10, people. The right people around you are quietly one of the most valuable assets you will ever have. The right mentor, partner, or team can open doors, multiply your ideas, and pull you up faster than you ever could alone. Companies even buy whole startups just to get the people inside them. Jim Rohn put it in one line: you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. What you could actually do, deliberately build your network. Surround yourself with people a step ahead of you because the room you sit in shapes the money you make. Number 11, books, songs, courses, and content. Information is the perfect asset because it is infinitely copyable. You write the book once and sell it 1,000,000 times. The same goes for a song, an online course, or any digital product. The hard work happens once and the selling never has to stop. Get one of them right and it can pay you while you sleep for years. What you could actually do, turn something you already know into a product. A short ebook on Amazon Kindle, an audiobook on Audible, or a simple course on a site like Udemy. Or start a channel like this one and let your knowledge sell on its own around the clock. And content has one more gear: royalties. Own the rights to what you made, and you collect a cut of everything it earns, sometimes for decades. A hit show keeps paying its creators through reruns, long after filming stops. Royalties built one of the most famous fortunes in film, when director George Lucas kept the merchandising rights to Star Wars instead of taking a bigger salary. The empire built on those rights eventually sold for around $4 billion. And you do not need a film studio to earn royalties. Write and license a few music tracks to a stock library, or put your photos on stock sites and collect a small cut every time your work gets used. Number 12, storage units and parking spaces, the most boring real estate on earth and some of the steadiest. Buy a parking spot, a garage, or small storage unit and rent it out by the month. Nobody lives there. Almost nothing can break. Someone simply pays you every month to use your empty space. What you could actually do, buy a parking spot or a small storage unit in a busy area and list it on Neighbor, JustPark, or Spacer. A good city spot can quietly bring in a few $100s a month. Number 13, and the big one, businesses. A business is the master asset because it can contain every other asset on this list. A single company can own the real estate, hold the investments, employ the people, sell the content, and collect the royalties, all at once, all under one roof. And here's the engine underneath it. Every employee creates more value than they are paid, and the owner keeps the difference. That gap has a name, profit, and it turns other people's time into your wealth. What you could actually do, start a simple one-person service, lawn care, bookkeeping, car detailing, or buy a small existing business that already makes money and own the engine instead of being it. And if you want to expand, own the whole car wash and hire people to work for you. And you could start with something as simple as a vending machine. It sells snacks all day, no staff, no storefront, no opening hours. A solid used one runs about $1,500 to $3,000, plus a location deal with a shop or an office, usually for a small cut of the sales. Remember those 2 people from the start? Same job, same paycheck, 30 years. The difference was never income, it was ownership. One saved whatever was left over, the other quietly bought assets. A fund here, a rental there, a tiny business. At retirement, one had savings, the other had a fortune. Notice the thread through all 13. The rich use their time to earn money, then use that money to buy assets, and then let those assets buy back their time. And here's the part that quietly separates them. Broke people buy the luxury first and hope the money shows up. The wealthy buy the asset first, then let the asset pay for the luxury. Same car, opposite order, completely different life. You do not need all 13. You just need to start owning one. And if a voice says it is too late for you, it isn't. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Your one asset is waiting. If this made something click, hit subscribe and see you in the next one.